If you guys aren't subscribed already, make sure to head down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and if you want to become a member today, click the join button now. Now, enjoy the show. The top 50 greatest MMA fighters of all time, Ultimate UFC GOAT list. So we are just going to be doing the top 20, right? But we're going to go through his criteria first, all right? Let's do this. I've heard this is bad. I'm kind of anxious because I feel like this is not going to be good. But let's get into it.
It would take forever to differentiate between their resumes because things are very competitive when you get that high in the list. I'm going to do the 31 through 50 in no order. And right before we get the most important thing,
there you go.
Quality wins.
I agree.
The strength of resume of the people that you have beaten. That is the best way to determine how good fighters' wins are. And ultimately,
I agree.
I think that the best fighters on the planet have to have beaten the best fighters on the planet. And the only way to determine that is what have those fighters done? What did their opponents accomplish in their career? So that is the most important criteria. Number 2, ratio of wins to losses.
That's a weird criteria. That's a bit of a weird one to me. Ratio of wins to losses. Like, some people count BJ Penn as a top 5 lightweight of all time, but look at his record. I don't think losses always tell the full story. Look at Randy Couture. Randy Couture's record was like, what? Like, I think it was like 20 or 19 and 11. But look at who he lost against, right? If you're losing against all-time greats, I don't think it should matter as much as if you're losing to, prelim scrubs. I think this is a bit of a weird criteria.
You can have some incredible quality wins, but if you've picked up a ton of losses throughout your career and you haven't necessarily established that you were dominant and that while you were in your prime, nobody was able to mess with you, I mean, that's going to hold you back a little.
I get what he means, but it's just a bit weird to me, isn't it?
A little bit.
Like, okay, then Islam can't be the GOAT because he lost to Adriano Martins. Like, do you know how stupid that sounds? Like, if one day he gets accomplished enough and Islam can't be the GOAT because he lost to a nobody, like, come on.
So again, if you are one of these fighters that has some decent quality, but while you were in your prime, nobody was beating you, that is going to be really important as well. Number 3, this is going to be a big factor in determining who's higher and who's lower when we get really high up in the top 10, in the top 5. That is, who have you lost to and are they one of the GOATs as well? Because if we have
that kind of ties into the second criteria.
2 fighters that have a bunch of quality wins and a good amount of quantity wins, and that's my 4th criteria, by the way, quantity of wins. You have to have a good quantity of quality of wins is the best way to put it. Have a lot of wins in order to be the GOAT. You can't just have like 8 fights in the UFC and that's it, unless every single one of them is against another GOAT. But either way, let's say all things are equal, except for both fighters have 2 losses, but one guy lost to 2 GOATs and the other guy lost to people that weren't that amazing. That's going to be the deciding factor to determine who's better. Now, you may wonder, what about title wins? What about...
I don't think that title wins, double champ status, or anything like that. I think that stuff does matter to a certain extent, but I think it's become a bit overrated. Like, people say that double champ is really important in GOAT status. Why? What if you beat 2 of the worst divisional champions in history, right? Like Islam Makhachev, beat JDM, who some people would consider one of the worst welterweight champs in recent memory. Conor McGregor beat Eddie Alvarez to become double champion. Like, I think that there's a criteria for that, where being things like double champ and title wins, stuff like that, it matters, but it's not as important as the quality of competition you beat.
Title defenses. I do not believe that title defenses are that important. I ultimately think it comes down to who have you beaten. There are plenty of fighters that have title defenses against people that aren't that amazing.
I agree.
Whereas you have number 1 contenders or people that are ranked number 5 that have taken out 3 other ranked fighters that have really awesome resumes that are, better quality wins. And so ultimately all that matters is what's the resume of the person you beat look like? Okay? And it was a lot easier for fighters to defend their title way back in the day because there were less fighters in the UFC. It didn't take so long to get to a belt. Now, modern era fighters have to win like 10, 11 fights to even fight for the belt to begin with. And so by the time they get there, they've already beaten a bunch of ranked fighters. And those ranked fighters are...
Most of the time. I agree with the criteria. Is there anything else in the criteria that we need to know about? No. That's it. Okay. So we're going to skip ahead up until, about the 20 range? You put Armin at... Oh, wait. I went a little bit too far ahead.
Ratio of wins to losses are better. And also, a lot of the losses that Dominic Cruz has are not bad losses at all. For example,
putting Israel Adesanya in the 16 to 25 range is bonkers. That is crazy. What?
Example, like his loss to Henry Cejudo where he got put out. He took that on a week's notice coming off of the couch after taking multiple years off. You know, Dominic Cruz could have never have won that fight.
You think that Dustin Poirier is greater than Izzy? You think that Charles Oliveira is greater than Izzy? I don't think I agree with that. I put Israel Adesanya at around the 11 to 15 range. I think he's greater than all these guys. But I don't know. I'd have to look at the resumes, I guess.
So I don't really look at that as that bad. The loss to Chito Vera, Dominic Cruz is an old head. So I don't think some of those losses are that bad. In his prime, he was really difficult to beat.
But the record matters. Those were your own words.
Cody Garbrandt loss does look really, really bad. I will say that. But still, Dustin lost to
Stylistic matchup.
Johnson. Charles Oliveira took a bunch of L's back in the day, too. So I got Dominic Cruz there. At the number 19 spot, we got
Fedor at 19? Oh, brother! Brother! No! You have to put Fedor in that 11 to 15 range. At least number like 17, number 16. Oh my gosh.
Fedor Emelianenko. Fedor Emelianenko, even though he lost in his prime years, people think, oh, he only lost.
Who did he lose in his prime years to? You tell me who.
Lost when he was old. Dude, this guy was taking back-to-back-to-back.
2010. He was not in his prime in 2010. He was in his prime from like the year 2000 to about 2000. I don't know. Probably around the time of the Tim Sylvia fight. Maybe. But even then, people would argue he wasn't in his prime anymore at that point. Oh, this is terrible.
Brutal losses in his early 30s in Strikeforce.
Age doesn't determine prime! I'm gonna get so angry.
But Fedor Emelianenko had a legendary run. From 2002 to 2010, Fedor went 20-0 with wins over future champions like Andrei Arlovsky, Mark Coleman, Antonio Nogueira, Tim Sylvia, and Mirko Krokop. And so, for a while, this guy was on top of the world.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that you make there, Evan. Bilal Muhammad over Justin Gaethje, over Aljamain Sterling, over Figgy, over Brandon Moreno, over Frankie Edgar. Oh my gosh. Lucas Tracy's whole account's gotta be rage bait, surely. This is why I don't watch this guy, bro.
And absolutely nobody was messing with him, and that's why I have him ahead of Adesanya.
Oh, that's the video. I was hearing the whatever the background noise was.
Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and Whitaker. Because even though Adesanya and Whitaker were at the top of their division for a while, in the middleweight division, they never proved that they were clear ahead of the pack and that they had no comp. For a while, Fedor had absolutely no competition.
I wouldn't say beating Big Nog and Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman and, guys like that. I wouldn't say that's no comp. I would say that you're coping.
And that's what sets Fedor apart from everyone else on this list. Now, the one thing that's going to hold Fedor from being higher on the list is, again, he did take a bunch of L's in Strikeforce to people like Dan Henderson and
out of prime
Verdum and Rampage Jackson, the number 18 best fighter in MMA history. This is going to be the most controversial one.
You've already been quite controversial in this video, all right?
It's going to piss a lot of people off, but guys,
breathe.
As I said in the beginning of this video, this is not your conventional GOAT list.
Are we being for real right now? Are we being for serious, guys? What are we doing here? Who is Armin Beat? He is not greater than Fedor. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, my brain cells have left my body. Oh.
It is Arman Tsarukyan.
He's not even over Dominic Cruz. He's not over Charles. He's not over Dustin. He's not over any of these guys.
Arman Tsarukyan is at the number 18 spot. the best fighter to never win a belt, the most underrated fighter in the UFC right now. That's right. People are going crazy.
Gosh.
People are angry. People are throwing things in the street. They're rioting, and it's up to me to defend this. Arman.
Okay, if you don't have a very solid explanation, I'm gonna screech.
Tsarukyan, guys, only has one loss in his UFC career, and
no, he lost Mateusz Gamrot as well.
And that is to Islam Makhachev. It was when he took a fight on a week's notice.
Yes, I agree. This is why I say it's not a great win on Islam's resume.
And it happened to be against Islam Makhachev. And guess what? Wait a second. It was also competitive. The only loss that this guy has was a fight that he wasn't supposed to win in the first place, and he still made it fucking competitive, and it's only done nothing but age well. All right? Outside of that, he has no losses. That Gamrot fight, that was a fucking robbery. All right?
Even if I agree with you and say Arman won, it's not the most egregious thing of all time. Well, it is a little bit egregious, but it's not the craziest robbery we've ever seen. And even if you think it's a robbery, Arman still lost that fight. And in my opinion, he lost to Charles. So by your logic, if we're going off robberies, Charles beat Arman. Boom. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Arman still got the win.
Right. That's a huge factor. If Gamrot actually beat this guy, I wouldn't even have him in the top 30. He won 4 rounds against Mateusz Gamrot. 4.
I thought he won 3, I think. I forget how he scored the fight. I had it 48-47, I'm pretty sure.
Rounds. That's one of the worst robberies that I've seen in my entire fucking life. It was competitive. You can't say it wasn't. But competitive fights can be robberies. A robbery just means the judges got the fucking rounds wrong. Either way. Mateusz Gamrot. Arman beat him. Joel Alvarez. Everyone goes crazy about Joel Alvarez.
Nobody goes crazy about Joe Alvarez. No, I promise you, nobody goes crazy over that guy.
Arman Tsarukyan absolutely murked Joel Alvarez, and Joel Alvarez is being talked about like the absolute boogeyman of the division now, right? And that one is going to continue to age really well. Arman handled him. Arman has a clean win over Prime Oliveira.
Clean? No! Charles won that fight, in my opinion, if you go off the criteria of who was the closest to getting a finish or damage. Charles was going for multiple submission attempts in rounds 1 and 3, and won those rounds off those attempts. He did not rock Charles. He did not drop Charles, not that I remember. No. No, Charles won this fight, in my opinion, but ultimately they still give the decision to Arman. So I have to say that Arman won the fight. I have to remain consistent in what I say.
I don't want to hear anybody saying, no, Oliveira's not in his prime. No, Oliveira's not in his prime.
No, I'm going to say Oliveira won that fight.
Oliveira's had 2 fights since then. 2 fights since then. Oliveira was, 34 years old when he fought Arman Tsarukyan? He was coming off with a Beneil Dariush win. So, going into the Arman fight, Oliveira was like 13-1 in his last 14 fights.
But you know how quickly a fighter could go in their prime one fight and the next fight they're not the same guy anymore? It could easily happen due to a multitude of different reasons. You could hit father time overnight. You can get injured. Anything could potentially happen. You could start to develop different priorities and not love the game as much. There are multiple different reasons as to why a fighter can go from this, on top of the world, down to this in just a fight.
And you're going to sit there and tell me that that's not prime Oliveira? That's nonsense.
Oliveira won the fight.
I know it was
Cope.
It was a close fight. I know it was competitive, but he has a clean win against him.
Not clean.
So we're talking...
And by that logic, Mateusz Gamrot has a clean win over Arman Tsarukyan, so shut your face.
Talking Joel Alvarez and Mateusz Gamrot, 2 highly respected fighters. We're also talking about Charles Oliveira, and he also knocked out Beneil Dariush badly, and only has 1 loss, which isn't even that bad. And outside of that,
You can't count robberies, in your favor to suit your argument better. Because if you're going to do that, then you better apply the logic in vice versa when you want a fighter to be higher in the GOAT list, but they can't because you think they were given a robbery decision win. I hope you hold that same standard when that happens.
Got 10 wins in the UFC. This guy's 10-1. And again, we can
No, he's not.
Just keep going on. He's got a win over Demir.
Okay, I'm over this Arman glaze. I'm over it. He's going to keep defending until he's blue in the face. I'm going to get angry. Let's move on.
Right, so let's get on to the next one. Stipe Miocic.
17's a bit low for Stipe? I have Stipe at again, in that number 11 to number 15 range.
Old man Stipe. Yeah, old man Stipe. He's an old man boo. He's tough as a root. He'll call your point mute. He's a crafty old boot. Now listen, Stipe Miocic has a couple of L's. He's got a loss to Junior Dos Santos, but Junior Dos Santos is one of the best heavyweights.
And he also avenged that loss to JDS anyway.
It's ever, and Stipe Miocic got that win back.
Yeah.
Right? He also has a loss to Stefan Struve back in the day, but
that was a young Stipe.
That was an eye poke, brutal eye poke. I barely even count that. That's like a bullshit loss.
Oh, I didn't even know that, honestly.
Outside of that, Stipe Miocic, the only other losses he has are to absolute legends who he also beat, like Francis Ngannou and Daniel Cormier. Stipe lost to both of those guys, but he also beat both of those guys. He beat Francis Ngannou back in the day. Francis was on a solid win streak, being talked about as a really dangerous guy. I mean, if you're fighting for the title, you can't be considered a fucking tadpole. Okay? That was an amazing win. He also has the win against Daniel Cormier, and you may say, well, Daniel was a little old. Daniel Cormier, yes, he was a little old in the trilogy, but in the rematch, in the first fight, you don't get to say Cormier is just an old head, okay? Cormier was good enough to be heavyweight champion. If it wasn't for Stipe Miocic at the time, Cormier would be heavyweight champion for a long time. Even then,
possibly
even
true.
When he was 40, Cormier would have still been fucking people up if it wasn't for Stipe.
There's
so
truth
Stipe
to that.
Miocic
There's truth to that.
wins over all-time greats like Verdum. I talked about Verdum a little earlier. Verdum is an incredible win, and he is actually going to make this list as well. He'll be 31 through 50, but either way, that's a really solid win. Junior Dos Santos, a really solid win. And when it comes to that John Jones loss, like I'm just barely even going to count that. As we get on to number 16, that is the undefeated Dricus du Plessis.
These headphones, I'm really surprised these headphones haven't gone through the wall yet. DDP is not greater than Izzy Bound. He's not. He's not greater than Fedor. He's not greater than Stipe. He's not greater than Charles Oliveira. This list is... Oh my gosh!
1 win away from catapulting himself high up on this list. He's making the cut. Dricus du Plessis is one of the greatest fighters of all time. I know that there's some people, Matt Hughes, and they're going to be saying Cejudo. Listen, we're in a new era.
But you have to compare based on era. Listen, okay. I understand if you want to say the new fighters are more skilled. For the 99% of the time, that's true. The new fighters are more skilled. But in terms of greatness, you have to compare based on era. At the time, certain guys like Matt Hughes, like you mentioned, were beating guys like GSP, for instance, right? He beat, Carlos Newton back in 2001 or something like that to win the welterweight title. Like, at the time, he was fighting the best of what was there. Right? Guys like GSP would be considered like Alexander Volkanovski or Islam Makhachev today at that time. So you have to compare based on era, otherwise it's just not fair. Otherwise, the top 10 greatest of all time are the current top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. That's just how you'd have to look at it.
Dricus du Plessis is on the verge of being top 15 of all time. I think he's 1 win away from passing Anderson Silva. He's undefeated. At least
1 win. I mean, I disqualify Anderson, but if you don't... Oh my goodness.
UFC, the big leagues where it actually counts. And he's got wins against Adesanya.
He has no losses in the... Oh, was this before the... Okay, this is before the this is before the Hamzat fight. Okay, fair enough.
And Robert Whittaker during their prime years. And we do not...
Okay, now you're pissing me off. Let's move on.
Win. And Dricus beat the guy who beat him. Twice. And now, Anderson may not have the
Anderson
same...
number 15. I don't hate it. I don't know if I agree with it, but I don't hate it.
Impressive quality name.
I mean, obviously, I disqualify Anderson, but if you don't, 15, I understand why you'd put him that low. Some people would say it's crazy, but his competition really wasn't that great.
On his resume, like Dricus, or even guys like Whittaker and Adesanya, right? The difference is he does have some decent quality, beating guys like Dan Henderson, beating guys like Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, those are good wins.
Taking out Chael Sonnen. I mean, listen, people make...
Damian Maia even is a good win, but it's just some of his competition was filler.
Fun of Chael Sonnen, but that's actually an okay win. And also, Silva has wins against guys like Derek Brunson when Derek Brunson was in their prime, and people forget that, but... listen, Anderson Silva was...
That fight was just weird.
Also just the best guy in the world, and there was no doubt about it for a while.
Yeah,
for
I agree.
A long time, there was no doubt about it. Dricus, we'll see how his career shapes up, but he could start losing. He could go on a 50-50 streak for the next couple of fights. We don't.
Well, he did lose against Hamzat, so that's kind of true.
No, Anderson Silva wasn't going 50-50 when he was in his prime years.
That's true.
He was making people look like fools. He was front kicking people in the face, and they were at least decent. Some of them were absolute cans.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't think...
Like, is that Chris Lieben? Is that his name? Like, yeah, he's not good. Rich Franklin was not good. Let's just be honest.
Rodriguez needs like 50 title defenses, and he only needs one more. And that's why I don't have Anderson Silva in my top 10 or very close to my top 10 anymore. But listen, you got to respect it. Silva has those wins over, Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson has a win over Fedor Emelianenko. But either way...
Fedor Emelianenko? The new mythical fighter, Fedor Emelianenko, ladies and gentlemen. Give a round of applause here for our GOAT, Lucas Tracy. What would we do without him? Oh my goodness. The GOAT of MMA YouTube, of course.
Hey, I have Anderson Silva at the number 15 spot. At the number 14 spot, we have Jose Aldo.
I'm going to smack my headphones with the... Jose Aldo at number 14? Jose Aldo is top 7. I said it. He's top 7. Number 14?
Now, unlike Anderson Silva, there was a moment in Jose Aldo's prime where he was getting beat every now and then. I should say moments. There wasn't just a moment. There were moments.
What
where
moments?
You had 28-year-old Jose Aldo getting flatlined.
Age doesn't determine prime!
And by Conor McGregor.
Okay. That was one punch. I'm not going to say I was lucky. Okay, let's take a look at something here. You ready? Let's look at Jose Aldo, right? How old was he when he won the WEC title? Which, by the way, there's speculations about Aldo's age. People think that his age is actually off by a few years and he's actually older than what is claimed. But okay, let's take a look. He first won the WEC title against Mike Brown in November 2009. November 2009 would have made Jose Aldo... What? I'm really bad with math. November 2009. What, 23? But, like... Oh my gosh. Let's scroll down here a little bit. Alright? Like, he really got started, like, what? He was fighting in Pancrase and stuff. Like, he was in his prime. Like, look at all these WC fights, right? And then he goes all the way up here. Right? And you could argue that he's in his prime. Even against Conor McGregor, you could argue he's still in his prime. But I think that there's a certain point where you kind of can't be in your prime anymore. I think you can only be in your prime for so long. Right? You can only be in your prime for so long. It started here in the WEC back in 2008 and remained in his prime all the way up until towards the Conor McGregor fight. I'd say the Chad Mendes was like peak. Like, towards the end of his peak. Even Conor, you could say it's peak, whatever. Then Frankie Edgar fight happens or whatever. I would say that when he got to fighting guys like Max Holloway, I think he was still a very capable fighter, but I think he was like, if this is his peak, Jose Aldo was like right here. He wasn't far off his peak, but I don't think he was at his best anymore, if you get what I mean.
And you had 30-year-old Jose Aldo and 29-year-old Jose Aldo getting beat.
Conor Colded him in 15 seconds. I can't put him 10. That's one loss. Look at his accolades. Look at his resume. Look at who he beat. You will put him top 7.
By Max Holloway. And you had 32-year-old Aldo getting beat by Volkanov.
Age does not determine prime. Glover was like, what, 40 when he won the belt? Right? Mike Tyson peaked at 20. And he was out of his prime by like, what, 28. You can only be in your prime for so long. From when you're 20 till about 20. Like, you can only be in your prime for, what, 5 or 6 years, in my opinion. Right? And if he peaked at 20 or 21, chances are by 27, he was out of his prime.
So, listen, he wasn't proving that he was the absolute best in the world throughout his entire peak years, but either...
He was. He was proving throughout his peak years. The competition also did catch up to him. There is a factor of that, but he wasn't in his prime necessarily. I still think he was like there, right? If this is his peak, Jose Aldo's right here. I don't think he was completely out of it, right? He lasted a lot longer than most fighters do, but let's not sit here and act like he was at his peak when he fought Volk.
Way, the people that he was losing to were better than the people that Silva lost to. You know what I mean? Silva lost to Weidman. Aldo was losing to Volk and Max. It's different.
But it's a different era as well.
Okay. And even though one guy was in their prime and one guy wasn't, it's like,
Aldo wasn't in his prime.
Yeah, but like 38, it's not like 50 at middleweight, okay?
Age doesn't determine prime, bro.
30.
I gotta move on. I'm actually starting to get frustrated. I'm actually starting to get angry. Let's move on. So there's number 13. Who do we think is going to be?
He didn't look totally washed up. So you don't get to say he was washed in like 2019, 2018, or...
I can say that about Jose Aldo.
2015. You don't. Okay.
I could say that he was out of his prime. I absolutely can.
Okay, so let's get on to the next one. Alex Pereira. I got Alex...
Dang, bro. People call me an Alex hater. How you gonna call me an Alex Pereira hater and then proceed to watch this video? Alex Pereira at number 13. I have a number 8, I think. Number 13. Oh my goodness, bro. You're bugging. You're bugging.
Higher than Anderson Silva because he has better quality wins, and I got him higher than Aldo because he doesn't have as many L's. Alex has only lost to 2...
In my opinion, the way his career ended lowers him on the GOAT list. Even if he wasn't at his absolute best, I still think Prime Volk beats any version of him. His losses lower him for me. I think a Prime Aldo would make it more competitive. I do agree that Volk would win. But again, you have to compare based on era, like I mentioned earlier. Otherwise, it's not fair. You have to give every single fighter, obviously, a chance to be the GOAT. And you have to compare based on the eras. Otherwise, the current best are like the current top 10 of all time and the current top 10 pound for pound. That's not a fair comparison.
Fighters in the UFC, that's Magomed Ankalaev, who's got a really decent record. And that's also Adesanya. But he's also beaten Adesanya. He has dropped quite a bit. Alex was actually in my top 10, but because he took the loss to Magomed, a 9-1...
What? A loss to Magomed dropped you, 3 places or 4 places in the all-time record? In the all-time GOAT list? That's crazy.
Record turning into a 9-2 record. The ratio was really what was keeping Alex high up on my list. But either way, a win over Adesanya, a win over Sean Strickland, a win over Yuri Prohaska, Jamal...
Okay, well, I want you to keep that same energy, Lucas, when your favorite fighter loses. Right? Whoever your GOAT is, drop him by 4 places if he loses. You're not going to do it.
Hill, Jan Blachowicz, all former champions. And this is the thing. You may say, well, Jamal Hill's not the most impressive former champion or whatever. Same thing with Sean Strickland. Okay, but Jan Blachowicz was a solid champion, defended his belt. He has a decent resume and wins over Yuri Prohaska. I think that's going to continue to age well. I think that Yuri is almost really I think he's fucking impossible to beat, man. I think he's impossible to beat. I don't mean to sound like Henry Cejudo, but Yuri Prohaska has a really solid resume. Yuri has only lost to one person in the UFC, and that's Alex Pereira. He's beaten every other person, and he's going to continue to beat every other person unless it's Magomed Ankalaev. But you get my point. Yuri has a good resume. Pereira knocked him out badly twice. But listen, you can't say Alex was washed when he fought Magomed.
No, I don't think he was. I know he was sick or whatever, 40%, yada, yada, yada. But, like, you can't just drop a 4 GOAT places because of 1 loss. Magomed Ankalaev is a really good fighter. For you to drop him 4 places would tell me you think that he's absolute hogwash.
He still seemed to be at his peak. He was coming off of a couple of the best performances of his entire career. So, yeah, Alex Pereira at the number 13 spot. Not going to be any higher. We'll get on to Daniel Cormier.
DC at number 12, man? Oh my gosh. What, I have him? I actually have Pereira 1 spot above DC. So I can at least respect the fact that you have them side by side just like I do, except I have it reversed.
I have Daniel Cormier at the 12 spot. I got him slightly higher than Alex Pereira. He has wins over Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
Okay, prime Stipe Miocic, who was coming off of that win against Francis Ngannou. He also has wins over Rumble Johnson. He's got 2 of them. And Rumble Johnson, I mean...
The second Rumble fight was not prime Rumble. Can we say that? I think we can.
Rumble beat Alexander Gustafsson. Rumble beat Glover Teixeira. And DC's also got wins against Dan Henderson. And don't forget Volkan Ozdemir, right? Well, listen, I know it takes a big jump off after that, but Daniel Cormier, the thing that separates him from Alex Pereira is that he's only lost to Stipe and John Jones, whereas Pereira's lost to Adesanya, who's lower than Stipe, and Magomed, who's...
But losses don't automatically determine your GOAT status necessarily. Not in my opinion. I think that, Alex Pereira did beat Izzy, right? And I think that part of the reason why he lost in the rematch was due to him being weight drained. And him losing to Magomed Ankalaev, Magomed Ankalaev is a really good fighter. You could argue he's definitely a better striker than Stipe. right? John Jones, maybe not. Maybe let's hold our horses. But I think, in my opinion, he's a better striker than Stipe. So I don't know. In terms of overall fighting, he might even be better. So I don't know about that.
Not even on the list right now. Even higher, I got Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
DJ at number 11. Number 11! Are we being for real right now, Chad? This is what you wanted me to watch? You really want me to suffer this badly? You are... Oh my gosh. The only reason why I'm not throwing shit and screeching right now is because I have people in this household sleeping. That's the only thing that's keeping me from throwing stuff. DJ at number 11. Oh my gosh, man!
Who also has some sneaky good wins outside of the UFC. Adriano Moraes, those are decent wins, and he's got a couple of them. Now, here's the thing about Adriano Moraes.
Brad Pickett? Did he lose to Brad Pickett? I don't... Did he? He did lose to Brad Pickett. Oh, okay, way back in the WEC. Okay. Okay, I thought you were just counting one of those robberies. I just had to make sure.
It's a decent win, but Adriano Moraes recently lost to a fighter that's not that good. I don't even know.
But just because you don't know him doesn't mean he's not good, Lucas.
Know his name, but you can look at
Yeah, just because you don't know him doesn't mean he's not good.
Adriano Moraes' record and see the fighters that he's beat.
Adriano Moraes is a good fighter. Not as good as DJ. The size definitely played a factor in those fights. But that's still a solid win.
There's a couple other guys that DJ beat in ONE FC are really not that great. And this is the thing about DJ.
Overrated resume. His resume is very good.
He is going to be on this list, and I think what separates him from DC and Alex Pereira is that while DJ was at his peak, while DJ was in his prime, this is why he's higher than all of these other guys, there was really not a lot of competition. Henry Cejudo is like the one guy that you could bring up, but he also destroyed Henry Cejudo in their first fight. And
that was a young Henry Cejudo, I will add that.
A lot of people thought that that second fight should have gone to DJ. DJ arguably won that. But either way...
I'd have to go back and watch it and score it. I'm not 100%.
I think a guy like Pantoja is ahead of him.
I'm leaving this room. I'm leaving. See ya. Bye. Okay, I'm not leaving. No. That has to be one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. Pantoja is over DJ. Really? It's really a coincidence, Lucas, that you didn't add in wins like Ray Borg. You didn't throw in Ali Bagantinov, who tested positive for EPO. I believe it was Ali Bagantinov, if I'm not mistaken. Like, what are we talking about here?
I think that Pantoja has not made it clear that he is the undisputed flyweight GOAT. But
well, you think he has. So, like what?
They're basically neck and neck, and if I have to give either one of them the nod, it's...
Something else I thought about. With Pantoja now breaking his arm and losing to Joshua Van, how does that affect your GOAT list? Yeah, see how stupid it is when you start to include stuff like losses like that?
Pantoja. Now, yes, Pantoja did lose early on in his career to Figueiredo, and he did lose to Askar Askarov. But Demetrius Johnson took a couple of L's back in the day as well. I think he had a loss to Ian McCall, and he lost to Dominic Cruz. That's not the worst thing.
That was also a young DJ. That was not a peak DJ
in the world.
And he lost to Dominic Cruz, who oversized him. He was outstriking Dominic Cruz. He just overpowered him with size.
But this is the thing. The quality of Pantoja's wins are just on another level. He beat Brandon Moreno.
Henry Cejudo, you could argue, is a better win. Arguably.
Multiple times. He has 3 wins over him. Wins against Kai Kara France.
That's not a great win. That's an okay win.
That's basically better than anything DJ has outside of...
Rage bait. We're moving on to the next pick. That was a really stupid thing. Let's take a look at the resume. Right. Brandon Moreno 3 times. Okay. One of them was on The Ultimate Fighter, but sure. Brandon Royval twice. Brandon Royval, that win's not age great. Kai Kara France, that win is not age great. Steve Ursig, again, that win is also not age great. And people argue Steve Ursig won. Kaya Sakura, that win definitely is not age great. Minnow Cap, that win started to age pretty well, actually. And Alex Perez. Come on. What are we talking? He lost to Dustin Ortiz. Enough said.
John Moraga, all right? And then it's like, okay, after Kaya Sakura.
But anyway, we're going to move on because I can't take this crap anymore. We're going to move on. Number 9.
That's right. Piotr Jan is making the list. I said that Armand...
That's like one of his hot takes that I'm actually not mad at either. Like, I don't necessarily agree. I think he's somewhere between Stipe and like Alex Pereira, but I'm not mad at Petr Yan making the top 10. I'm not mad at it.
Tsarukyan was controversial. Welcome to controversial city. It's Petr Yan. I have Petr Yan ahead of Pantoja. I have Petr Yan ahead of Demetrius Johnson. I have Petr Yan ahead of Daniel Cormier, Jose Aldo, and Stipe Miocic, Anderson Silva as well, and everyone else on this list. Petr Yan is in my...
I mean, I don't agree necessarily with him being over, very long reigning champions. You could argue he's better than guys like Robert Whittaker, Bilal Muhammad, whatever. I don't know if he's greater than Aljamain Sterling. I mean, Aljo does have the 2 wins over him, but I don't always count the 2 wins solely. I don't think he's greater than Jose Aldo. I don't think he's greater than Alex Pereira or DC. But this is like the one take that I'm not completely mad at.
Opinion. The most underrated fighter in UFC history, and it's not even close.
Wait, what did he say? I really didn't know we listened to him talk.
My opinion. The most underrated fighter in UFC history.
It's kind of a mixed bag.
And it's not even close. It's not even close.
I don't know. People either severely underrate Petr Yan or severely overrate him. There's no in between.
Okay?
I wonder where he puts him now after the Barab fight. What do you guys think?
I want to talk about these guys barely have any losses. You want to talk about...
it's because he's going to include robberies. Watch. He's going to say that he beat Aljamain in the second fight. He's going to say that he beat Sean O'Malley. He's going to say he probably should have won the first fight, so he's going to count it.
Quality. Petr Yan has quantity of quality. And he's got only one real loss. I mean, we're going to talk about this. Let's talk about Petr Yan. Let's just go off on his wins, okay? Because you're going to disagree with that. I think Petr Yan has better wins than Pantoja, and I think he's got better wins than Demetrius Johnson. Petr Yan has a win over Jose Aldo when Jose Aldo was like 33 years old.
Allegedly, there is that thing about Jose Aldo kind of lying about his age, or not lying about his age, but the birth certificates getting all messed up in the 1980s, because apparently that was a common thing in Brazil. So we don't know if he was actually 33. If it turns out he's actually older, and he was actually like 38 or something like that, then what are people going to say about in his prime claims? They're going to be gone.
And Aldo was coming off of a win. And after that, Aldo went on a 3 fight.
Well, no, he wasn't coming off a win. He was coming off a loss to Marlon Moraes. I thought he should have won the fight, but no, he wasn't coming off a win.
Fight win streak. So we do not get to sit here and say Aldo was washed. Aldo was washed.
It was not a prime Aldo.
I'm sorry. If Aldo was washed when he was fighting Marlon Vera and Rob Font and Pedro Munoz, what does that make the version of...
To be fair, those are not the greatest bantamweight fighters, let's be honest.
Aldo that fought Jonathan Martinez and Batista? Because he looked good in the Martinez and Batista fight. Was he washed? I mean, I guess you could say he's old, and we could take that last loss with a grain of salt. We could take the Batista loss with a grain of salt. 4 years before that, 5 years before Aldo's last fight where he still looked good for many moments. We don't get to say that version of Aldo was washed. Petr Yan...
You could say he was old. You can. In fight years, he was old.
Beat a 33-year-old version of Jose Aldo who was coming off of a win against Marlon Moraes. It was a robbery. And then after that went on a 3-fight win streak.
Wait. Sorry. Once again, I was not completely listening.
Old version of Jose Aldo who was coming off of a win against Marlon Moraes. It was a robbery.
So he wasn't coming off a win. He was coming off a loss. You can't count robberies as wins. You just can't.
Then after that went on a 3-fight win streak. That is...
Against mediocre competition. Somewhat mediocre.
An exceptional win. So that's one. He also has a win over Corey Sandhagen.
That's a great win. That's one of his most underrated wins, is the Corey Sandhagen win. I don't think Corey gets enough appreciation for how skilled he really is.
Time and time again has proven to be a long-time staple in the top 5 in one of the most skilled divisions in the most skilled modern era in MMA history.
I agree with that.
And he beat Corey Sandhagen in a 5-rounder. Okay?
But Corey was taking it on like a month's notice or less than a month's notice or something. But still, yes, I do agree.
Number 3. He's got a win against Davidson Figueiredo, who was on a 3-fight win streak.
I have never been the biggest fan of watching Figgy at bantamweight. His style kind of changed when he moved up divisions. But yes, it is still a great win.
That is top 50 all-time fighter Davidson Figueiredo, former champion, lighter man skill. We can keep going. Sean O'Malley, we all know that was a robbery. I know it was a close fight. I know it was a competitive fight. Petr Yan won the second round. He dominated the majority of the second round, and he won the third round. It was
No, he did not win the third round. He won the first and second round. He lost the third round. I think that's what you're saying.
very close.
I really hope that's what you're saying, at least. Like, I think Petr Yan won too, but it was a close fight. I'm not going to scream robbery. There have been many worse. Michael Bisping, Matt Hamill comes to mind. Like, no, we are not going to scream robbery on this fight. Sean O'Malley won. Fair and square.
But he won the third round, in my opinion. Remember at the time.
Well, then you should not be ever judging a fight in your life.
Everyone was pissed off about the decision. I'm not about to let a couple of measly years passing by fool me into thinking that shit doesn't matter and that we're not going to count robberies.
We're not going to count robberies because, first of all, this fight was not a robbery. Second of all, it's not going to change anything, because if Petr Yan won that fight, the trajectory of both their careers would have been different. But because Sean O'Malley is gifted the win, he was able to get a title shot off that. So him getting the win from the judges' nod does matter here.
It's like we're calling it a robbery for a year after. It's 2 years since. It's been
can I swear? Do whatever you want, man. It's a free country.
been 2 years since. So now all of a sudden, we accept the decision. We accept the decision. Nope.
No, I don't like the decision, but it's not going to change anything.
That's a robbery. Petr Yan beat Sean O'Malley. Petr Yan also has a win over Aljamain Sterling.
It's like arguing with a brick wall. And no, he doesn't have a win over Aljamain.
About the second fight with Aljo that he lost, okay? He beat Aljo the first time.
No, he didn't, bro. He cheated. Yeah, Petr Yan would have went on to win the fight if that didn't happen. But he cheated. He broke the rules. It was a fair disqualification.
I know he landed an illegal knee, but
yeah,
you don't get
illegal
to say that, that fight doesn't count. We're going to write that off like it doesn't even count. Okay, we're not going to give Aljo the credit, but we can't give Yan the credit. Dude, Yan was winning a fucking fist fight.
No, bro. Okay, Aljamain Sterling, no, he did not beat. He did not beat Sean O'Malley. No. The rest, all fair. All fair.
He was winning a fist fight against prepared Aljamain Sterling for the title. He won the first round. He won the third round. He was dominating the fourth. He was winning 3 out of 4 rounds and was on his way to maybe getting a finish and definitely winning the fifth.
Yeah, but that's all speculation. You never know. Let's move on.
Only loss this guy has on his record. The only 2 losses. There's 2.
Because he's yapping at this point. I was kind of with him with putting on Petr Yan. Like, I'm kind of down for it, but he's still going on here.
Are going to be, but winning as a champion is 10 times more impressive because that's when the lights are brightest and it's hard to be the freaking wolf on the top of the hill, man. Like, there's not this thing where only the champions have real pressure on them.
Okay, bro, you're still yapping about this nonsense. Alright, we don't want to hear it. Let's just move on.
Usman is moving up on this list.
Kamaru Usman at number 8. Okay, I have Usman at number 9. But I don't mind him at number 8. That's not a bad pick.
That's right, Kamaru Usman.
Lucas makes Kenny look somewhat normal, bro. I just want to, have them get in a room and fight each other.
Getting a win over Joaquin Buckley. Usman, no longer in his prime years. He's not totally washed, but he's older.
He's kind of washed. His striking kind of washed.
Win against a in their prime Joaquin Buckley, who is super dangerous, extremely dangerous.
That's the best take he's had so far.
It's very impressive. And even though he has the 2 losses to Leon Edwards, number 1, let's not forget that he beat Leon Edwards back in the day as well, but also, outside of the Leon Edwards losses, he doesn't have any other losses. I mean, this is why Kamaru Usman is so high on the list.
He lost to Hamzat. What are we talking about?
I do think that Petr Yan has slightly better quality wins than Kamaru Usman, and he has more of them. But Petr Yan, even though he has a couple of losses and Usman only has a couple of losses and whatnot, I honestly rate Usman's draw with Khamzat Chimaev. I actually think that does...
You can't go on record telling people that fight was a draw, right? Because people who don't know the sport are going to watch your content and then go around saying, oh, that was an amazing fight. I can't believe it was a draw. When the reality is, Khamzat was given the decision ultimately. I agree that I think the fight was a draw, but you can't go around spreading misinformation like that. That's how you confuse the new MMA fans. No, we cannot be doing this.
Something good for him, given that he took that fight on short notice. I mean...
Yeah, he did amazing. I thought it was a draw too. But don't lie to people and say it was a draw when the judges gave it to Khamzat.
Time and time again, we see fighters take fights on short notice, and they lose. And they're all...
So let's see. Joaquin Buckley, yep. Gil Burns, yep. No, he lost to Khamzat. I'm sorry, he did. Like, I love Kamaru Usman, but like he did not get a draw. He lost. The judges gave it to Khamzat.
Expected to lose. And so you can only give the fighter that wins them that much credit, right? Kamaru Usman took a fight with Khamzat Chimaev on a week's notice.
All right, enough, yeah.
But yeah, let's get on to the number 7 best fighter in MMA history, and that is Max.
Max Holloway at number 7? You have him over Jose Aldo? Nah, bro. Jose Aldo's definitely over him. Right. I have Alex Pereira over him. DC, DJ, Usman. Max Holloway at number 7's a little bit high. I have him at number 10. But okay, let's hear it.
Holloway. Now
he's going to include the second Volkanovski fight as a robbery. I guarantee it.
Will say this. If Max loses to Dustin Poirier, I think Jan and Usman go ahead of him. I will say that. I do think that these guys are all razor close. Now, Jan and Usman have less losses than Holloway. But Max Holloway...
All right, let's look at this. So, Justin Gaethje, Jose Aldo twice, the Korean Zombie, Arnold Allen, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, Anthony Pettis, Brian Ortega, Cub Swanson, Frank Yeager, Ricardo Lamas. Okay, so he's not counting the second Volkanovski fight. Okay, interesting. But notice that all the Max losses have come to amazing fighters.
Similar to Usman, if you're looking at his prime years, even though he has a bunch of losses, a bunch of those are to one guy and one guy only. It's like Usman losing twice to Leon, but it's only one guy, right? Either way, he's got a loss to Poirier, he's got a loss to Volk, and outside of that, he's got losses to McGregor and Dennis Bermudez, but that was when he was very young. That was like rookie mode Max. You kind of have to take that with a bit of a grain of salt. The reason why I think Max is slightly higher than Jan and Usman, and again, if he beats Dustin Poirier...
But yes, this resume is very good, but I still think Aldo's greater.
I think there's an even stronger case for that, but it's ultimately because he's got, like Jan, so much quality, and he's just got more quantity as well, and that's ultimately why. You know, Max does have some losses, but...
Bro, don't know Lucas is a Volk fanboy. Is he? Oh, great. We're in for a treat then. He's going to put Volk at the GOAT, and I'm going to get mad.
Again, Poirier, Volk. Of course, I forgot about the Poirier one. There is that as well. But Max just has so many amazing fighters that he's beat, and this is it. I'm going to list you guys the names that Holloway has on his resume. Cub Swanson, Ricardo Lamas.
Bro, Aldo lost Max twice by finish. That doesn't mean that they are greater. That just means that that fighter is better than you, that they are more skilled than you. That does not mean that Holloway is greater in terms of accomplishments than Jose Aldo.
Anthony Pettis, right off the bat, those are very good wins. Those are solid wins. Anthony Pettis was no joke. That's a former champion.
Yeah, but that was a compromised Pettis to make 145. Okay. And we've already seen that, so let's move on. Oh, gosh.
Outside of that, we're talking 8 other quantity wins. But let's get on to the 6th best fighter.
I don't know why I didn't see this coming. I completely forgot about Khabib. Khabib at number 6? Oh, we're wilding.
In UFC history, that is Khabib Nurmagomedov, guys. He is the 6th best fighter in UFC history. Very easy to explain this. Khabib was undefeated and he was very dominant, okay?
Yeah, but his resume wasn't that deep. That's the problem. Khabib's resume really lacked a lot of top quality talent, right? He beat Conor McGregor, RDA, Edson Barboza, Rafael dos Anjos, Michael Johnson, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Those are all good wins, especially, Conor, Poirier, Gaethje, RDA. Those are fantastic wins. But you need more than 4 of those to be number 6 all time, in my opinion, especially with the ever-growing talent pool of MMA.
And he also has wins over some all-time greats like prime Conor McGregor.
That was not prime Conor. Like, in terms of physical capabilities, he still had it, but come on, that was not hungry McGregor. Come on.
Prime Dustin Poirier.
Sure.
Prime Justin Gaethje coming off of the Tony Ferguson win. And outside of that, like, it does fall off quite a bit, but still RDA, who was a champ, and...
RDA became champ after that fight, I believe, too.
He has wins over Edson Barboza, and, you know, I mean, listen, you're going to talk about the Michael Johnson win not being good. Well, Michael Johnson slept Dustin Poirier out cold, okay? So, listen, I mean, Khabib does have a good resume. Ultimately, it's the 13-0. That ratio...
Yeah, but that ratio, it's not filled with top competition. Max's competition was way better. Usman's competition, you could argue, is better. Petr Yan's competition is better, especially now with the Merab win. All right, let's do this.
The 5th spot. Whoa!
GSP
at the 5th spot.
Are we serious right now, gang? Are we really doing this?
Here come the riots.
He's gonna put Johnny Hendricks got robbed against GSP.
Here come the riots. Okay? Here come the riots, man. I know. Everyone wants GSP to be at the 2 spot, the 1 spot, right? No, I'm sorry.
Who's he gonna put above? But John Jones. Who else? Islam?
I think GSP is at the 5 spot, okay? I think he's slightly higher than Khabib just because he has so much quantity. And also, I think GSP is a very curious case. There's a curious case of GSP, and this is what it is. You're looking at GSP's resume. He has no wins against top 15 all-time fighters, top 20 all-time fighters.
No, because he fought in a different era, which, according to your own criteria, does not really allow for older fighters to be considered in said top criteria. So you're kind of, tying his hands a little bit. He fought the best of what there was at the time.
But he has a bunch of wins.
What do you expect with Lucas Tracy? I've never watched Lucas Tracy. I just heard this list was bad. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. He's going to put Volk, he's going to put Islam, he's going to put John Jones, and one other person over him.
Against guys that were no joke.
If he puts Ilya top 3...
Okay, like Jake Shields. Jake Shields was a fucking monster, dude.
Johnny Hendricks, I friggin' knew it. I knew he was going to do it. Matt Hughes twice. BJ Penn twice. Michael Bisping. Carlos Condit. Jake Shields. Josh Koscheck. Sean Shirk and Thiago Alves. And Nick Diaz at the time, okay? Dan Hardy and Frank Trigg. Like, some of them, okay, I get it. They're not great, right? But he avenged both his losses. Beat Matt Hughes and BJ Penn twice. That alone is stellar, right? Stellar. Josh Koscheck, Jake Shields, Michael Bisping, Nick Diaz, who was, at that time, not far off his Strikeforce days. Like, come on.
Jake Shields beat Dan Henderson.
He has Merab over GSP. I really hope you're rage baiting.
Okay? Jake Shields beat Tyron Woodley. Like, that's one of his wins. He's also got wins over Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit was a badass. Carlos Condit was a bad man.
Carlos Condit nearly beat Robbie Lawler, if not arguably did beat Robbie Lawler.
Man, okay? And he's got wins over Matt Hughes. He's got multiple wins over Matt Hughes. He's got multiple wins over BJ Penn. BJ Penn, top 50. Matt Hughes, top 50. Like, he's got a bunch of amazing wins.
Matt Hughes is also the 3rd best welterweight of all time, in my opinion. 3rd greatest, I guess I should say. 3rd greatest welterweight of all time, in my opinion. BJ Penn, I would say, is a top 7 lightweight, probably. People say he's top 5. I don't think he's quite that high, but oh my gosh.
He's got Nick Diaz, Sean Shirk, former...
It doesn't matter if he avenges losses, he still lost to them. Okay, then Max Holloway shouldn't be this high on the list. But he's here. Like, come on.
UFC champion. Of course, he has the Michael Bisping win. And listen, the Michael Bisping win may be the least impressive double champ win in UFC history.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's up there. I don't know. It kind of depends on how you define impressive. Are you talking about in terms of who he beat? Because you could argue Conor McGregor's win over Eddie Alvarez wasn't great. Right? With that same logic. You could argue, I don't even know, man. Like, I'm trying to think of all the double champ status wins. But, like, I don't know.
Which is why I say that, at the end of the day, it ultimately boils down to who you're beating. I mean, just the fact that it's a double champ win doesn't necessarily mean it's the best win ever.
No, I do agree with that take. That is what I've been saying. People think that double champ automatically means that you should be top 5 GOAT. But what if you beat 2 of the worst champions to become double champion? That doesn't automatically mean your double champ status is the greatest thing ever.
But still, Michael Bisping was At least elite. Like, he may have not been.
Yeah, he was. Okay. But we're gonna skip forward. But no, stop. He's actually gonna put Merab here. Stop. I thought you were trolling.
Opinion. So yeah, but I do have Merab higher. That's right.
Merab, I love Merab. I wonder with this loss to Peter Yan, does Merab get dropped in the GOAT list now? I don't think this guy remains consistent within his own logic.
The number 4 spot, the Machine, Merab.
Holy moly, man. Turn up the music. I can almost hear you.
Davalishvili. That's right. He cracked the top 10. He's moved up since for beating O'Malley.
I do agree Merab's top 10. He's probably around number 6. Somewhere in there. But no, he's not number 4. I think it's a bit high.
O'Malley in the rematch and absolutely toasting him and dominating him. But the reason why he also moved up is because I'm looking at the GOAT list a lot different these days. I'm looking at it a lot different these days. That's why I don't have GSP in the top 3 anymore. Listen.
Yeah, because your criteria is ridiculous.
Something to be said about being dominant in the lighter weight classes, okay? And I talked about Petr Yan as being one of the most underrated fighters ever. Merab fucking destroyed Petr Yan. Like, we know how good Yan is.
Well, he did. Now he lost to Petr Yan, so what are you going to do about that?
Even when he lost to Aljo, it was razor close. Merab destroyed him. As impressive
with a broken hand.
Impressive as Yan is.
I don't even, I want to take a look at, his, what he puts up with the UFC record here.
This, because Umar doesn't have the best resume. I understand that, and that's very important. That's, my number 1 criteria.
The Umar win is very good because Umar is a very good fighter. It's very obvious.
How good is the resume of the person that you beat? Umar at least has the Sandhagen win, which is good.
He only counts one of his losses. He lost twice. Ricky Simone and, I'm blanking on the guy's name. Oh my goodness, hold on. I just typed in Merab. That's funny. Who did he lose to? Frankie Science. That's it. I couldn't remember his first name.
And he schooled Sandhagen. That's also impressive. It's how he beat Sandhagen, which was very impressive. But, you just know that that's an amazing win on the eye test.
Oh, wait. Was this before the Corey Sandhagen fight? Oh.
You know how good Umar is. You know how amazing he is. It's like Hamza doesn't have the best resume, but we know how much a win against a guy like...
Okay, but you got to count the Frankie Science loss, but whatever. We're moving on. I don't even want to listen to this, bro. This is ridiculous.
Next, we have Ilia Topuria.
Ilia's not even top 10! According to your own criteria of level of competition, Ilia cannot be top 10. No.
He is the 3rd best fighter of all time. That's right! Okay, I just realized that we have too many fighters in the top 10. There's still 3 more fighters left. Either way,
everyone moves down. Ilia's number 4, Merab number 5, and so on. So you're trying to tell me that GSP is now bumped down to what? Number 6? This is insane.
Listen, okay, so Ilia Topuria, let's just say he is at the 4 spot. Merab's at the 5 spot, GSP 6. Okay, whatever. Listen, the reason why Ilia Topuria...
I didn't even notice that either, by the way.
...is this high. The reason why he's 4 all time, in my opinion, is because the wins over Volk, the wins over Max, the win over Charles... There's nothing overrated.
That's 3 wins. That's probably the best 3-fight win streak in UFC history, but that's his 3 great wins. That is not top 10. Quality of competition is number 1. But also quantity of competition was also part of that resume. Yes, he's undefeated, and that plays in your criteria, which is a bit ridiculous. But he doesn't have the quantity to stack up yet.
About those wins. I'm starting to hear some people say, well, Charles was old, Volk was old. Max was old.
I'm not even here making those arguments. He beat Yusuf Salah, which that win is aged well. He beat Bryce Mitchell. Okay, that's a good win. Josh Emmett, fantastic win, especially how dominant it was. Charles Oliveira, Alexander Volkanovski, and Max Holloway. Amazing wins. Not top 4.
Max was old? Max is 33 years old. In what world is...
Like I said before, age doesn't always determine prime. I agree Max wasn't washed. People will say that he was weight drained for this fight, but I don't even look into that too much. I just think that it was a tough stylistic matchup.
A 33-year-old old. Oh, he's got miles on him.
He does.
I don't care, dude.
Well, then you can't say he was in his prime. You can't just dismiss the fact without actually bringing up a counter argument and then try to still say he was in his prime. He has a lot of miles on the clock. He's old for his age in terms of fighting years. I don't care. That's not a counter argument.
Max Holloway was on a 3-fight win streak.
Against who? An old Korean zombie, right? Against Arnold Allen, which is a decent enough win. And what, Justin Gaethje, I guess? That was a great win. But like the Korean zombie, come on.
He was coming off of the best performance of his entire career. He had looked the best he has ever looked in his entire career. He had improved from the trilogy with Volk.
I agree to an extent.
Max Holloway, going into the trilogy with Volk, was looking improved. He improved from the trilogy with Volk. Going into the Topuria fight, he looked good against Topuria. You don't get to say that Holloway was old. That's prime Max Holloway. Peak prime.
This guy's definitely a rage baiter. He's definitely trying to garner a reaction. No, we're skipping forward to number 3, bro. I can't listen to your complete utter nonsensical yap. All right. Holy frig, man. Okay.
Spot I got John Jones. That's right.
At number 3, you got John Jones. Okay, well now I'm just confused. I'm confused. If it's not GSP... Oh no, I just realized what he's gonna do. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. I'm not gonna say what I think. I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking.
Falling from the number 1.
Also, you there, Wakaz, quit spoiling it. I haven't seen this yet, but quit spoiling it.
Spot, not just because he ducked Tom Aspinall and we're all upset about that, but I've actually done a little bit more looking at his resume. John Jones, outside of his win over Daniel Cormier, and he's only got one that we can count because the second one he popped for steroids, and that was basically cast.
That's what disqualifies him
off of his record because he cheated. But outside of the Daniel Cormier win, I just don't think he can compete with the guys above him. And that's right, we're going to get to number 2, Alexander the Great, Volkanovski.
I have Volk at number 4. Number 2 is a bit high, in my opinion.
Alexander Volkanovski continues to move up on the GOAT list. I think all of my GOAT videos, he has just been climbing that ladder to the top, to the tippity top. And guys, I just told you that John Jones just cannot compete with the guys above him because he only has one all-time great win over a guy in DC. And I think a lot of his wins are kind of overrated, to be honest. But
I agree.
When we look at Alexander Volkanovski, we have 4 all-time great wins. We can talk about the Jose Aldo win. Volk beat him when he was 32. He was coming off of a win streak.
Yeah, but Aldo wasn't in his prime. I've already said that.
He beat Max Holloway not once, not twice, 3 times. You see, we give Ilia Topuria credit for beating Max. One of the reasons why Dustin Poirier is on this list to begin with is because he beat Max Holloway in 2019 in their rematch, right? And he, of course, beat Max Holloway way back in the day, but, like, Volk beat Max 3 times. 3 times.
Okay. We're going to skip to number 1 because this video is getting long, right? Especially for you watching this YouTube thing at home. The number 1.
Fucking go to the sport. That's right. Islam Makhachev.
I've said this 1,000 times, and I will say it again. Islam's resume is extremely overrated and filled with asterisks. It is. Like, let's just be honest, right? Alexander Volkanovski, the second fight, short notice, right? And he was a featherweight moving up. Dustin Poirier was out of his prime at that point. Was not the same guy. If this was like 2019 to 2021, Dustin, that's like the best version of Dustin, in my opinion. I think that version you could argue is prime. The 2020, what was it, 2024 version of Dustin, that was out of his prime. Charles Oliveira is a great win. Dan Hooker was short notice and never, I'm going to be honest, Dan Hooker was never a great win. Arman Tsarukyan taking the fight on short notice and making his debut. Drew Dober's not a great fighter. Renato Moicano, 1 day notice, not a great fighter. Bobby Green, short notice, not a great fighter. Davi Ramos, come on. And he lost to Adriano Martin. So by your own criteria, he can't be the GOAT because he lost to a nobody and never even avenged the loss.
Is the GOAT of the sport. I think it's time. John Jones lost to Dominic Reyes. That's worse than losing to Islam Makhachev in a close battle. The second fight with Makhachev, I'm sorry, I'm just hardly going to count that. Like, you just can't tell me that anyone in their right mind expected Volk to win that fight. And he shouldn't win that fight. He should never win that fight. Makhachev should beat Volkanovski.
Yeah, like, look at this. Like, this is Volk out of shape, bro. Come on.
In those conditions, with Volk coming off of the couch.
So how are you going to say Islam's the GOAT?
Coming off of a surgery, he should beat him 100 times. 100 out of 100 times. Yes, knocking him out is nice, but like, Volk cannot win that fight ever. No one in a pound for pound.
I think this is made before the JDM fight, by the way.
Number one type of matchup is winning if they're coming off of the couch after not training for 2 months, coming off of an arm surgery. We're not really going to look too much into that. But at the end of the day, Volk's real losses to Poirier, who we see how good he is, and Islam Makhachev. And at the end of the day, listen, Volk actually took the challenge of moving up to fight a monster. Jones didn't fight Ngannou.
I think there's a point that he probably just wants to hate on Jones, probably. I just disqualified Jones altogether, but even if you don't, John Jones has to be number 1 or number 2, but no lower.
Jones didn't fight Jan Blachowicz. Jones didn't.
He would have beat Jan.
Give Dominic Reyes, who clearly beat him 3 rounds to 2, the rematch.
I agree, but like, come on, man. He still got the nod.
Jones didn't give Tom Aspinall a chance. Jones's win over Stipe Miocic means nothing in my...
Okay, that's enough of that. This video is already an hour long. Oh my goodness.